Alright, picking up where we left off. So an object, when you control these different points, what it means, that becomes, say, the starting point. If I want this to be modified, this is the point at which it would start to be modified. If I change that to 10 feet, then that's the fixed point. If I change it, if it's just a straight line, for instance, and I changed that straight line to just being 10 feet long, it changed it based on that point. If I select the middle and I change this to 20 feet, it will change it about the middle point. So that is a way of kind of controlling the grab points, the corner grab point, the middle. And one of the things, the way that these lines work, you select the end of it and you click and drag it, and if you hold shift, it'll hold it to a straight line. You can bring it back. Basically, you can move those lines around by grabbing those corner points and moving them around. So, if you have two lines and you're wanting to kind of connect the two together, you drag it around until it clicks to the line. So again, object info, depending on what the object is, if you do a dimension string, then this has a lot more information. It has, there's a lot of different standards, it changes the way that it looks. This object info has a lot of information. You could change the text offset. It's, instead of 3 inches off, it's only 1 inch off. You could change it so that the position goes automatically to the middle, or if you drag it to the side, but then I want to bring it back to automatic position. There's a lot of, you can change the precision. Sometimes I will, if I have a funky dimension that's 1/8 inch, I'll actually force the tolerance down to 1/4 inch so that it rounds off. So here you'll see, if you keep messing with the tolerance to say no fractions, it takes that 1/2 inch away. So again, lots of different attributes depending on what the object is. Over here, the navigation toolbar, this is pretty significant one that gets used a lot. There are classes, design layers, sheet layers, viewports, save views, and references. The last 3 are not used very often. The first 3 are used quite a bit. The classes are the most similar to AutoCAD layers. So the navigation toolbar is usually, it's right here, it's accessible, you could always see it. Because there's a check mark here, whenever I draw something, I'm on the construction lines class right now. So the attributes are based on that class. If I change to a different class, like this lineway 2, and have a check mark there, if I draw a line now, my line will take on the attributes of that class, and so on and so on. You can kind of just go down the line and kind of see what the different classes, what the attributes are for the different classes. Notes, text, sometimes they have different color associations. And so this is a good overview, but if you really want to get into more detail with these classes, the best way is to go to Tools, Organization, and it brings up this main palette, and here you can see those same categories: classes, design layers, this is an extra one, sheet layers, viewports, this is an extra one, and then references. Again, classes, design layers, and sheet layers are the most frequently used. So here you can now see these classes. This construction lines class, it has certain things that are set up. It has no fill, the pen color is red. It has a line type that's dashed. It has a line weight that's 3/16 point. It has opacity. I don't really mess with those very much, but if you double click on this here, you really can get into the details, and you can actually modify the attributes of this class. So use at creation is kind of important. It means that when you actually initiate that class, it will have these attributes. Here, if you wanted it to have a fill, you could give it a fill. Here's where I established it. It has a red color. It has this particular dash line type. This thickness, you could change the thicknesses. So these, one of the things about Vectorworks that I like as opposed to AutoCAD is don't really have like dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds of different layers. There's really only a handful here. In many cases, they're based on line weights. The thinnest line weight, 1/16 point, 3/16 is one that's really common. Getting thicker, and then a couple of common dash types. There's some that are oriented towards notes, notes for text, furniture, some that relate to like the viewports for sheet layers, for setting up for sheets. So again, just an overview of these. So the classes have attributes associated with them. Design layers, it's different than layers in AutoCAD. In this case, you can actually have layers. This is more like, say layers of vellum. Like, you've got the main level floor plan is all drawn on one layer, even though it has different classes. But you can lay different layers on top of each other, even though within those layers there are individual classes. It's kind of confusing, but it'll make more sense. Sheet layers. I'm gonna go to actually another file where you'll actually be able to see some sheet layers. So if you go to Tools, Organization, here, Classes, Design Layers, Sheet Layers. In this case, there's some sheets set up. The main level plan, upper level plan, and in this case, this file has a lot more going on in it. So there's some more classes. There's design layers. So for instance, the design layer I'm working on here, similar to the classes, if it has a check mark, that's the active class that you're drawing on. In design layers, if it has a check mark, that's the active design layer that we're working in. And let's break